Marshall Applewhite was the charismatic leader of the Heaven's Gate cult, which gained notoriety in the 1990s. Under his guidance, the cult blended elements of Christianity, science fiction, and New Age beliefs to create a unique and compelling narrative that attracted a small but devoted following. Unfortunately, none of that has anything to do with what the cult actually gained notoriety for. Applewhite convinced 39 of his followers to participate in mass suicide in 1997, which they believed would allow their spirits to join a spaceship following the Hale-Bopp comet that was passing the Earth on the same night. Now, as you unpack that, and realize that this guy convinced people not only to believe that there was a spaceship hidden behind a comet that would be traveling close to Earth one day, but he convinced them that, for some reason, they had to die in order to board it.
A young man born into a prominent Connecticut family, his future filled with opportunity and wealth.
The tall man at the door with a blazing smile, once a Colorado businessman, a former political candidate.
Another beautiful, quiet smile. He is the brother of a famous actress on an iconic TV show.
And this was like before mass suicide was popular? Yeah. Mass suicide actually became a thing with cults for a while there. Marshall Applewhite was not only a controversial figure in the realm of spirituality and religion, but he was also a talented musician. Great, thanks. Applewhite received training in music and theater, which he would later use to captivate and engage his followers. His musical talent and charisma helped him build a strong connection with his audience and allowed him to convey his message in a more compelling way. And that part is the part that I'm actually interested in. Music's power to touch people's emotions almost magically has long been used to associate musicians and music itself with the darker side, the mystical, with evil. Hi guys, my name's Julia, and today you're watching The MCs, Music at the Core of Everything. And today we're asking, is the gift of music actually a package full of sin, just disguised as a gift? Let's find out. This year, during the Grammys, this happened. If there were ever a thing for conspiracy theorists to hold up as proof that the music industry is composed of evil devil worshippers, well, this would be it. And yeah, this was it.
Religious conservatives were not pleased by this. I'll give you a few examples of how they reacted, beginning with Ted Cruz, who says, "This is evil." Don't fight the culture wars, they say. Meanwhile, demons are teaching your kids to worship Satan. I could throw up.
But if we're honest, this isn't anything new. Music has been around since humans have been humaning. And throughout history, it's been feared, or at least permanently side-eyed. Music was believed to have the power to arouse passions and desires, and it was feared that people could be tempted to commit sins or engage in immoral behavior as a result. No devil suit and spandex needed, if you know what I'm saying. Back in the medieval period, people thought that certain types of music were associated with the devil and were considered to be the beast's most useful tool. When I think of the beast, I think of like Beauty and the Beast, and that beast is like a nice beast. There are nice beasts out there. Don't beast hate. Beast shame? Don't beast shame. It's just rude. This was particularly true for music played on certain instruments such as the flute, lute, and violin. Those were tools of the devil used to tempt and corrupt the masses. Can you imagine a group of medieval villagers running in fear from a flautist playing a lively tune. Like, I'm just imagining this guy like, do, 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 do. Guys, isn't this great? Do, do. And the villagers are like, devil worshippers! Even in the Bible, Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub himself may have even been referenced as the leader of music in heaven because of this single passage. Despite these negative associations, music continued to be an important part of religious life, and many composers such as Bach and Handel were devout Christians who used their music to praise God. However, fast forward to the time of the Inquisition, the church was obsessed with stamping out heresy and sin, and they saw music as a potential sinful accelerant. The threat wasn't just in the passionate sounds either. Lyrics were often written in Latin, so nobody could understand them, leading people to believe that they were incantations to the devil. The church saw music as a threat, and they wanted to control the types of music that were played in churches, so they tried to ban anything that was too upbeat or too catchy. And if that wasn't bad enough, musicians themselves were seen as members of the lower classes and were often associated with drinking, gambling, and prostitution. So, if you were a musician back then, you were basically the devil's right-hand man or woman. This led to the belief that musicians were inherently sinful and that the music they played was inherently evil. And I just have to say, has anybody watched Bridgerton? Because in this first season, why did they have to make the opera singer a whore? You know how the Bridgertons are like classy people and Anthony is just degrading himself being with this opera singer who was actually pretty good when we listened to her in the show. And I'm like, I'm just kind of offended right now. But I think the thing that made so many Christians cringe and shield the innocent eyes of their children at the Grammys this year wasn't just the sight of a bunch of sinners indulging in costume debauchery on stage. No. There's something even more sinister that has been attached to musicians for hundreds of years now. Selling their literal souls to the devil, so the musicians get fame and fortune, but Lucifer gets the artist's soul in return. I'm sorry, let me just name a few. Faust, with Mephistopheles, another name for the devil there. Good old Mephistopheles. And then we have Sweeney Todd. But guys, I'm doing Sweeney Todd the musical in Tampa, Florida soon. So get your tickets. I'm just kidding. But I am doing the musical. But Sweeney Todd sold his literal soul to the devil. So like this is a thing that, you know, is in music. Great. So take for instance, Niccolò Paganini, one of the greats. Our most well-known image of Niccolò Paganini is as a demonic violinist. According to the most popular legend, Paganini made a pact with Satan to acquire magical powers, enabling him to create effects on the violin beyond the reach of anyone else. That's called hard work, guys. That's called practice, guys. That's called inherent talent. Oh my God. Others thought he was possessed by the devil and coaxed the violin to produce what they took to be the devil's music. Still, others, encouraged by the spectacle of him literally lashing the violin with his bow, considered him demonic in the Gothic sense of being corrupt and perverted, a licentious criminal in the tradition of the Marquis de Sade and Byron's hero villains. He was so talented, people were blown away. He didn't need sheet music because he memorized all of his songs, and his fingers moved so quickly, it was almost as if his fingers were made of rubber. Ooh. Modern-day scholars even believed he must have had a combination of two medical syndromes. Marfan syndrome, which would have made his fingers abnormally long, and then Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which would have made his skin very flexible and rubbery. Like other child stars, fame and fortune at such a young age ruined Niccolò Paganini. At 15, he was already an alcoholic and a womanizer. As he grew older, he was very tall, thin, and his face was sunken in, probably from all of the drugs and alcohol he was consuming. And people who watched him were mesmerized, but also a little bit scared. Some say that he had the ability to split himself into doppelgangers and walk around the audience to gauge the reaction to his music. Dang, people are creative! Others say they saw the devil help him practice. And one time, apparently, a bolt of lightning came down from the sky and struck his violin bow during a performance. Magician, Satan, sadistic villain, these were the faces of Paganini. But we can easily just explain away Paganini's eccentricities and creepiness to obvious exaggeration, child star issues, extreme talent, and maybe even extremely convenient diseases. But what you're about to see next, not so much.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I mean, I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And this earth, and then in the world we can't see.
That was Bob Dylan. Who was he talking about? And what price did he pay? That whole thing kind of creeps me out, if I'm honest, so I'll leave those questions for you to answer in the comment section. But suffice it to say, these examples and so many others only serve to further the idea that the devil is indeed the Prince of Music. I have to say, my mom actually really likes that song. I think it's When the Devil Came Down to Georgia. With the fiddle. She absolutely loves that song. It's like a jam. And you're listening to it like, wait, did this guy bargain with the devil? In the 20th century, the association between music and the devil began to decline, and music became more accepted as an art form. However, certain genres of music such as heavy metal and rap have continued to be associated with the devil and with sin. This is often due to the lyrics of the songs, which are seen as promoting violence, drugs, and other immoral behavior. To most of us today, it seems a bit silly, like someone today trying to ban classical music because it's too, relaxing? No, we can't have people falling asleep in church. We need something more energizing like polka music. I'm sure there are polka fans out there. But there are still some people who believe that certain types of music are evil. I propose the devil's connection to music has not diminished. In fact, some people believe that the devil is still the Prince of Music. The idea that the devil is the Prince of Music is a fascinating concept that has been around for centuries. From medieval villagers running in fear from flautists to modern-day heavy metal fans, the devil's association with music has been a constant throughout history. So now, let me briefly try to ease your worries, people. There is another side to this story. Immanuel Kant, a philosopher during the Enlightenment, proposed that the entire reason for art and music was to more effectively show us what was good and bad, so we could make the right decisions, not the wrong ones. He came to this conclusion during a lifetime of work, trying to work out how human beings could be good and kind outside of the doctrines of conventional religion. Good and evil, God versus Satan, and all of that. He didn't even believe in God, but still understood the necessity of good morals in human beings, and music helped him get there, not turn him away from that purpose. Another ease to consider is the work of philosopher David Hume. He realized that humans are more influenced by feelings than by reason, but are constantly in an internal struggle because we want to believe the opposite. He believed that if we could learn to deal well with this surprising fact, we could be calmer, happier, and better people, individually and as a society. Think about it. Maybe what we were scared of was never the devil on stage. It's our passion, our emotions that we're constantly trying to avert our gaze from, and that is what causes us the pain or that gut feeling that something is wrong or evil. Maybe being able to watch or listen or even dance to those things that acknowledge our emotional reality will cause us to be more like whatever your religion requires when it comes to morality and not turn away from it. The ability to recognize and deal with our emotional reality actually can make us better and more moral. The Bible tells the story of Moses and the children of Israel crossing the Red Sea on dry land due to a miracle from God. And the first thing his wife Sarah did on the other side was pick up a tambourine and start playing her heart out. Also, if you guys haven't seen that movie, The Prince of Egypt, like the animated movie, please watch that. It is a classic. It is so good. The music is so good. The story is so good. Even if you're not super religious, you'll enjoy it. It's a great movie. And the music is just, so good. Whether or not the devil is really the prince of music, I'll leave the answer to more qualified people. But one thing's for sure, music has always been a powerful and mysterious force in the world. Sarah's tambourine reminds us that it's always been about how you choose to use that powerful force. And I think the real question is, do you have a choice in how you receive it? And in that, I don't know. Do you? Leave it in the comment section below. My name is Julia, and you've been watching The MCs, music at the core of everything. Please like, subscribe. It really helps us support the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.